I am privileged to recognize our two student speakers. Peter Martin was elected by his peers to do the senior speech, and Will Weingarten, as the top scholar in the class, is the class valedictorian. Thank you.
Good morning. The class of 2007 is finally leaving Collegiate. After 12 years for many of us, it's hard to imagine moving on to bigger and better things. And indeed, as I stand here before you, my best years are behind me. You see, I found out last week that I have a condition called male pattern baldness. So, as I embark on the long, downhill journey of life after Collegiate, what I call the Propecia years, I would recall fondly the memories that I share with this group. Before I begin to look back on our class's history, let me tell you about a dream I had. A few of us were hanging out in the Student Center, which is David Levine's house. I can't really remember what happened first. Something about a flounder and a handbag, and David really had to go to the bathroom. So basically a normal Friday night. Anyway, Coach Koivu drove us to school on his motorcycle. He returned to Mr. Fisher's mustache. And a bunch of stormtroopers, the senior project committee, wouldn't let any of the class graduate until someone exfoliated Mr. Breimer's whole body with a tongue stuff while reciting JFK's inaugural address. I've been told I can make one Breimer joke for every decade he's been here, so if you can like that one, it might be a few hard coming. Back to the class of 2007. There have been some shining moments that I think captured the je ne sais quoi of our 12-year tenure. Did the hilarity begin in the first grade when Andy Hogan flicked speak under Mrs. Hanking's dress? Or was it when Patrick Williamson's watch let out that fateful cry, Charmander, Charmander? Perhaps it was the first time Andrew McInerney said Lucy, and y'all said Yana. Despite how close our classes come at Collegiate, some burning questions still remain unanswered. For example, does Max Machula dye his hair? Is there such thing as a female-ordered bride? Most importantly, who left the present on the bathroom floor in 3rd grade? And if it wasn't you, Benji, then why did you volunteer to clean it up? But as absurd as that incident was, missing the toilet bowl wouldn't be the craziest thing to happen to a second semester senior. This spring, seniors spent more hours playing Super Smash Brothers than actually going to class. Mark Wadwater became Broadzilla. Michael Leon broke up with someone else's girlfriend. Because just hitting on random girls was getting boring. Even Paul Needham loosened up a little bit. He canceled his weekly Chinese checkers day with W. Lee Pearson to spend more time in the class. I think Paul should publish his diary a few years down the road. He might call it, Together I Could. Or he could just write a Goosebumps-style novel called I Know What's in Your Mailbox. But the term second semester senior shouldn't just be limited to students. 2007 hosted the final years of many hallowed teachers' tenure at Collegiate. Dr. McCoy is leaving. Where would we be today if we hadn't learned that a mole's a mole? Or that flaming pieces of wood can sometimes still burn after they go into the garbage can? Reverend Howland finished his 27th and final year at Collegiate. The trustees are looking for someone as kind-hearted as Rev to teach his religion classes, but Herman will leave his post at the door and Ishe refuses to take a gap year in the city. Also, Rev, I confess that I got me at ease. Peter Mark, that typo in the journal was horrendous. Sorry, I won't do any more impressions. That was terrible. Okay, finally, I don't want to ruin anything here. I don't know if you've heard, but Mr. Breimer is leaving Collegiate after 37 years as a faculty member alone. When Mr. Breimer first got to Collegiate, Dr. Clark hadn't even ended segregation yet. Unfortunately, Mr. Breimer can't hear anything I have to say right now because at this point in the proceedings, he's probably asleep. I think something funny happened in his dream because he just laughed. But enough about the senior citizens and on to the real seniors. Just look at how far the members of this class have come. It seems like just yesterday, James Beale was a quiet new kid whose laser lock was no match for Reverend Anderson Brown yesterday. Now James is going to play baseball for Swarthmore, a team whose pitching is so strong that it doesn't even need a fence in the outfield. Remember when a young David Sachs cried, "How does it feel to be inferior?" Now David is taking a year off to get a jump start on a women and gender studies major in college. Speaking of gender studies, Chris Williams, Dwayne Alexis, Ishe Begno, and Peter Viscarando all shaved their legs this year. They also comprise the greatest running team Collegiate can ever hope to have. I know that segue was a little rough, but I had to get the names in there somewhere. Many of you may remember Ross Cohn. He told me he probably couldn't make it today, but he sends congratulations to all his friends from lower and middle school who are finally graduating. So unbelievably, our stay at Collegiate is coming to an end. Think of all the things we'll leave behind. Friday night basketball games, book wars, courtyard soccer, and other athletic activities I never did in high school. Laughing at that same Resnick story for a 12th time. Saying, I actually really have to go somewhere after being corralled in the hall by Mr. Yellen for a 15-minute conversation about muffins. Alumni gym final exam parties for biology and physics. Cushy bus rides to class field trips like Washington, Frost Valley, and Shelter Island. Paying your parents' taxes with money Matt Bragg found on the street. So after being here for 12 whole years, it's easy to become nostalgic. But then I think of how it must feel for Bruce Breimer, a man who's been here 4 times as large as I am. So boss, I don't think I hit all 7 decades of your career span, but I think 12 years was enough for us. Good luck, class of 2007, and may your propitious years be filled with civility, gracious goodness, and moral compass. Also, Ms. Barmore, I found this in the guest locker room.
I'm glad he let me write it.